What's the topic?
Well, we are live here, MCEO Talk, Episode 2. This is Vincenzo, Landino, your host. I am joined by a fantastic panel tonight. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves and go across the board, starting with Mr. Daniel Newman.
Hey everybody, Dan Newman coming out of the cold and into the warmth of the Millennial CEO chat. MCEO Talk. Sorry about that. I should know it. It's on our own channel. I am the founder and partner, one of the partners in Broadspeed Media Group, Millennial CEO, and better known as Daniel Newman UV on the Twitters. Thanks for having me.
And also joining me is Brian Fanzo, iSocialFans on the Twitters. Brian, quick intro, buddy.
What Daniel said, I just report to him and do what he asks, and I already spent an hour and 15 minutes talking on a podcast with him, which is Smack Talk. That's my first promo link drop at Smack Talk podcast we just had. So always fun to be here. Rock on with the MCO Talk crew, episode number 2. So I'm excited. Fun times.
Hey Brian, you should mention that tomorrow at 12 Eastern, Cloud Talk, you and I'll be... Oh no, we shouldn't do that. Not now.
That's too much promoing.
Okay, sorry about that.
How about at the end of the show? Thanks, Daniel, really. All right, so I have a fantastic panel tonight. I have 3 great millennial individuals here with me, and Brian and Daniel as well. Chris Barrows, let's go. Drop a little introduction, please.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Barrows. I'm a social media strategist, trainer, consultant, you name it. Biggest thing, most fun thing I do currently, I have to say, and it's only fair to drop it, I suppose, is hosting the Why Social podcast. It's kind of a passion of mine, and I've been really love doing it. So that's my big thing right now, and I'm just really happy to be here, quite frankly. So thank you.
And Albert, how are you doing over there, my friend?
I'm good. I'm in the process of logging into Twitter, which wasn't a very good thing. I should have done that before I got on here. But yes, hi, my name is Albert Chen. I am a millennial living, working, and playing and breathing the wonderful, cool air under this wonderful sunshine in Orange County, California. I work at Ingram Micro, which is a high-tech technology distribution company, and I also have a couple of projects on the side where I'm a social media consultant to small businesses, as well as running a jobs group on Facebook where I help people of all ages try and find meaningful work.
And last but not least, because we're not just the boys club here, we have Allie Greer.
Yeah,
Allie,
I'm really repping the demographic. Hey everyone, I'm Allie Greer. I work at 6 Cents. I'm a content marketing manager in San Francisco, rocking my new corporate hoodie, my 6 Cents. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. I'm super pumped to be on the second ever MCEO Talk. And I keep on thinking of the movie What Women Want when I think about the title of this chat. And I feel the responsibility to relay this information to the world as the woman on this panel. So
we do. We need you to reel the show in. So when us guys get a little too crazy here, we need you to reel us in. So tonight,
just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I'm going to try to control you guys. I might be out of control. Just kidding. I don't know what I'm saying.
The second ever episode, and we already have sass from our female panelists. I love it.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
So, guys, I wanted to start the show. We are going to be talking a little bit about some myths and what millennials are looking for. Let's start it off. Let's talk about some career goals. We're all in a little bit of a different. We're all in a different field, but we're all brought together by social media. So. You know, the old myth is that you have to know what you want to do after college. You have to know what you want to do when you start school and through your college career or through your education in general. But I personally don't think that holds true. Let's discuss that. I'm not going to really ask a question, but I want to know, well, how do you feel about that statement? Chris, you are in education. Let's kick it off with you, buddy.
Well, I happen to know it was not true for me. Truthfully, I got out of school and I had a job at I quit my job at Best Buy because I said I'm getting a job and screw you. Really stupid because I didn't get a job. And then I ended up working Best Buy, Verizon Wireless, got into journalism. It paid like nothing. And then I worked for the Social Security Administration. So I had no clue what I wanted to do. And to be truthful, I don't think I knew what I wanted to do till I was 27 years old. And until a really big moment in my life where I was given a situation not because I wanted it, but it just happened, and I was forced to say, what the hell am I doing with my life? Until that moment, honestly, I had no clue at all. So for me, no, it's definitely not true to me. And if you look at higher ed and what people are doing, people are going to school and they're discovering who they are. They're not necessarily going to school and getting a job because they studied this or that. They're going to school and learning about themselves. And there's a real value there. And I think that's very much the case nowadays, that unless you know you want to be something very specific like a doctor or something like that, there is no one right course to it. And I'm sure Mary Alice, my wife, would echo the same thing, being the career professional that she is.
Shout out to Mary Alice Barrows, by the way. I like Mary
That's
Alice.
At M.A. Barrows, because she's awesome.
Hey, she supports you over there. So, Allie, what do you think about the statement that you need to know what you're doing before you enter your educational career? What are your thoughts?
My first question is, who said that?
Well, that was what I grew up knowing.
Okay.
And my parents, my generation. So I don't know what your parents told you, but that was kind of.
Oh, no. I was just wondering,
Yeah.
you said, how do I feel about the statement? I was just wondering who made that statement so I could properly answer.
I heard, it's funny because I heard it through so many different people that, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And
yeah,
really,
that's really interesting to me because, maybe it was just, a difference in whatever, but, I never really felt like I had to know what I wanted to do before I went to college. I feel like that's pretty much the purpose of college. I thought, just by coincidence, I happened to want to go into college with a marketing major, and I applied to the business college. I ended up graduating with a marketing major, but actually, funnily enough, I ended up adding second majors and minors and adding and getting rid of them a lot throughout my time at Penn State in college. And so for example, I was always in the business college, but then I took a psych class and I really liked psych, so I became a psych major. And then I took a philosophy class and I really liked philosophy, so I became a philosophy minor. And then I decided that I actually didn't really want to take any more philosophy classes, so I dropped that minor. And then I decided that I wanted to be a French major also because I love French. So I ended up graduating with with 2 degrees in French and marketing and psychology minor. And just because I just kept on taking random classes and seeing stuff that I liked that I might not have even you kind of you don't know what you don't know what you don't like. Not you don't know what you don't know, but along the same lines, you don't know what you want to do until you know your options for what you can do. And I don't think it's really possible to know your options until you kind of just throw yourself in there with an open mind. And I feel especially today, colleges offer so many classes, and I was able to take all the intro level classes for any field of study I thought I might want to be in without being in that major. It's so easy to kind of take classes and discover, and even my psych classes, I did not do well in them, but I love them so much, and to me, I was still able to graduate, with a decent GPA and things like that, but kind of following your interests and letting them kind of, I guess, pave the way, and kind of just letting it happen would be.
So for Allie, so for you it was a discovery process, and really you went in with the open mind, which is the biggest. And
the interesting thing is, I didn't know it was going to be a discovery process. I was oh, I want to do marketing, and I'm going to go to the business college, I'm going to study marketing, and that's it. But then, you have to take a gen ed, and, everyone has to take Psych 100, and I took Psych 100, and I was oh, wow, I really like Psych. And then, I started, after that, that's when I started opening my mind, because I didn't even realize that that was, an option. So I feel like, finding out, like, if there's anyone in college listening, like, finding out, like, what your school actually has to offer. And, like, once you get farther along, the options go down, like, the number of options goes down. So I would, like, really recommend doing that exploration early.
Great. And Albert, let's hear from you over there, buddy.
Yeah. So, I think it's important that you come out of college and knowing not really so much what you want to do, but more of like your life's why, right? So I know I'm around a crowd that probably knows who Simon Sinek is, and for those who don't, he's a really, really good businessman who talks about the power of why, and why you need to know your why before you jump into anything, whether it's business. And I would extend that to your career, because I think if you just go in and graduate from college thinking that all you want is a job, you're probably not going to get what you're looking for at the end of the day. You're going to probably go through and do a lot of experimentation, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I did a lot of experimenting as far as careers have been concerned. I've done a lot more jobs in the last 5 years than I'd like to admit. But I think being able to know that is important. And so I think knowing what you want to do right out of college, as far as like a straight up job, like do you want to be a programmer? Do you want to do marketing? Do you want to do writing? Do you want to go do architecture? I don't think is all that important. You can spend a number of years exploring. After all, like I think McDonald's wasn't founded by Ray Kroc until he was in his 60s. Harrison Ford didn't land his first huge movie gig until he was like in his late 30s with Star Wars. And so, for people who are in their late to early to mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, I would say that for a lot of people, there's still a lot of time, but they definitely have to, I would say, maybe hurry it up in trying to find what they do want to do, and eventually, keep moving forward. That's, I guess, my piece of what I would offer up.
Nice. And let's hear from Gramps, if Gramps is still, where is he over there? Newman.
Oh, you call me Gramps? Fanzo and I, we're only 15 days apart. I just look old, You're
older than me. That's all that matters.
Hold on.
That's all that matters, fans.
Now I look young, less bald. So, okay. I think that statement's a load of crap. I think it manipulating you and taking advantage of your youth, and and I think it's what probably a lot of boomer parents said to their kids. I went to college, and my story is a little different, and it's way too long to try to introduce to this whole panel, but let's just say I had 2 years of college that was very fraternity and fun and party, and then I became a dad when I was 21, and my college became all about getting it done, getting that degree, and getting to work. So I would say on both sides I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about my hustle. I think if you want to be an entrepreneur, I would say to a lot of degrees, I don't know if college is that important at all, and I'd probably get crucified. I have a master's degree, and I've been a professor of business, and I'm saying I don't know if college matters at all to a lot of entrepreneurs, because I think that they do a very poor job of teaching what actually running a business looks like. But the one thing you do learn in college, I think, is social skills. I think you get out on your own, and you learn how to fall on your face, you learn how to screw up relationships, and hopefully you learn how to build them back up.
Absolutely. So I did want to kind of go into something similar to that, and talking about boomers giving us that, hey, you have to do this, you have to do this. Well, once we get out into the workforce, or once we get out there, we choose our career. I know a lot of us have had those managers, or we've had those, bosses that are like, you need to start at the bottom, work your way to the top. This is the way we do things. They never give praise. Has that changed with the millennials, giving praise in the workforce? Is that a driver for you, or is that something that you don't really need? Does it matter? Does praise drive you to do more to achieve those goals in their career, or does it not matter? Albert, what's your take?
I would say that, even though my manager praises me quite a bit, I still live in my own head, and so obviously what I see as me doing well may not necessarily be my manager's opinion, and vice versa. I think you really have to be a self-starter in today's world, and you also have to create as much opportunity as you possibly can. And by that I mean, like, you need to grab whatever opportunities are out there. always be networking, always be out there making sure that your name is out there somewhere, right? You've got to hustle, and as maybe Gary Vaynerchuk would say, fear is the disease and hustle is the antidote. And I think the best type of career in today's modern world is one that's twofold, where you're working on something on the side and you're working 9 to 5 at a job, if that's what you're in fact doing. Speaking to that kind of crowd here. And that project on the side is what enhances what you do. It makes you look attractive. In the case that the economy goes belly up, you're still doing something. You're still making money, or you're still making connections that will lead to money, things like that. And so, to answer your original question, is praise important? I think it partially is, but I think it's mostly not, because you have to know that you're doing what you're doing really well, and you also have to depend on yourself, because jobs are so fluid these days and things are changing so quickly.
Allie. Great points, by the way, Albert. I completely I agree with you, and I know some people are driven by praise, and that sometimes becomes the stigma about the millennial generation, is that we're so focused on we need the praise in order to actually get work done. So, Allie, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say that everyone should say hi to my amazing coworker Ellie, who's watching this for the very first time, and she is awesome and she's the best, and I wouldn't be anything without her. So everyone say hi to her. Anyway, second of all, I think that this is actually really interesting because, like what you just said, this whole Ellie just sent me a message. Thanks. So the whole thing with millennials loving praise and stuff, I think is actually kind of becoming part of the stereotype of young people, and there's all the conversations about in elementary school you never get F's anymore, everyone gets good grades, and everyone is so everyone is so gentle and nice with each other, and then you hear older generation saying oh, back in the day we would get hit by our teachers and stuff like that. But I think that actually sucks. That perception is really crappy, and I don't like being put into that, and I don't think it's a fair thing. And I think that because of that perception, a lot of older managers tend to overcompensate for not giving praise. I don't know how to word this. People might be trying too hard to make sure that millennial employees are not becoming complacent, basically. So instead of giving them too much praise, they're so aware of it that they actually don't give them any positive feedback at all, which is also a bad thing. And I feel for me personally, I love validation. Anytime someone tells me that something I did was good, I'm so happy. I don't, I'm proud of my work, and if I think it's good, then I'm proud of it. But nothing drives me more than validation, and I think that's just a characteristic of humans. But I do actually think this is a really interesting discussion, because I'm wondering if anybody else has experienced that, where somebody made the assumption that you you grew up being praised too much, so now they're extra hard on you or something like that. Has anyone?
Yeah,
relate to that?
Me personally, that's happened to me in my career. I'd actually be curious to hear from Chris Barrows, because being in education, I can't imagine you get praised often.
This is the thing that gets me about this topic. I really like this topic, and I have a strong feeling about it, because there's a difference between praise and feel like you're appreciated for your work. They're two very different things to me. So you want to feel like you are producing value for your organization. I think that's something that a lot of us feel, and somehow it comes off as, oh, you want to get praised. It has nothing to do with praise. We just want to know that we are providing value. We want to be communicated to. We don't want to be told, "Hey, you rock." We want to be told, "Hey, this was really this was good," and then take it from there. Okay, so what can we do to improve it next time? Because you want to do your job well. there's so many millennials, I think, who feel this way, but there's this misconception out there that, oh, we want to be told we're awesome. Look, I don't care if it's not like I guess it's great if my boss thinks I'm doing an awesome job, but I've had bosses who think I'm doing a crappy job. I've had bosses who think I'm doing an awesome job, and the perception versus the reality is what matters. So in the end, if one person you work with thinks you're doing a bad job, but the people who matter are looking and say you are being efficient, you're getting the job done, you're clearly motivated, it matters. That's important. And here's the thing that gets me, because in higher ed, I think it's interesting. Higher ed moves at a slower pace, is what everyone says. But here's the reality behind it. People in higher ed don't necessarily move slow. It's the processes in higher ed that move slow. So there's a lot of people who are busting their rump out here in higher ed, and are doing such good things, but they don't get the opportunities outside in the world. And this is a different issue altogether, so I'm not going to harp on it. But the point is, they're not looking for the praise. They're simply looking for the fact that, hey, talk to me. Am I doing a good job? What can I do to do better? And God forbid we want to improve ourselves. I don't see what's wrong with that. And again, I feel passionate about this, so sometimes people disagree with me. I have a few people in higher ed who actually don't like the fact that in the past I've said higher ed is not special. Social media is the same in higher ed as it is in any other place, so get off your high horse. And there's a few people in higher ed who, if they heard me say it again, they'd probably, be just angry as they were the first time. But the bottom line is, I think when we look at this, don't praise us, but give us feedback, give us proper criticism so we can do our damn job better. I don't think that's asking for praise, though, and that's just me.
So I'm gonna go ahead and just go with the data for a minute, because I love data, and the data actually says that our generation is no different than the former generations in terms of our desire to receive positive or negative reinforcement about the work we do. We have more vehicles for it, and we're more used to immediacy. So just like our customer service expectations and our job hire expectations and applications for credit cards, we expect everything to happen faster, and that's all based on technology. But humans, screenshot awesomeness, Brian, right? Humans love recognition, and while he and I will even joke and sometimes disagree on the need to display and share that, we all enjoy praise, and we all enjoy a beatdown. Not really. We all hate the beatdown. And like last week, I got my ego kind of smashed a little bit by someone, and Brian, how many times did I make jokes about it? But it was honestly because it kind of stings, and that's how we cope with that. So the bottom line of it is that humans by nature are fed off of praise and recognition, and the fact that they want to know that what they do matters. And if we say anything else, we're probably lying. And humility is a great thing. It's great to be humble about your success, but that doesn't mean we don't like hearing it. It doesn't matter if we don't like hearing that we're beautiful or that we're smart or that we're successful. We all like to hear it. Anyone that tells you that stuff doesn't matter is probably lying to you, or they're dead inside.
Fanzo, do you get praise from Newman?
Do I get what?
Does Newman praise you?
Always.
I really do, right?
No. But I mean, the whole. I think the whole conversation. I mean, actually, this whole conversation. I think the question 1 and question 2. I think kind of blend together in the idea that, who's the best person to tell my story? Who's the best person to market my value proposition? Who's the best person that's gonna care about my success? One person. I got 2 thumbs, and they're pointing at me. And it's, what? I'm gonna own my own success, and I think that's a mentality that. I'm not going to go work at a job for 20 years and complain after I retire that I wasn't able to do anything with my life. I'm going to quit that job when that job doesn't reward me, doesn't recognize me. And I think today it's a lot different than, don't give me a participation trophy, but if I'm the best damn salesman, you better damn reward me or I'm going to go somewhere else. And there is a definite difference. I mean, because I think that's the difference here. I mean, I was joking with Matt on Hootsuite Matt on Twitter, where he was saying, like, I said, we weren't the ones that were giving out the participation trophies. That was the Gen X parents, and I wasn't meaning that actually bad at the Gen X parents, because I got a bunch of ones that didn't say that was. But what I meant by that is, like, yes, the participation idea is stupid, and it's partially what ruined part of the generation idea of being lazy and thinking that we're all going to be in it together. This is the we are the hustle generation, if anything else, and I think every generation thinks that, but because technology and innovation is changing at a speed that we've never seen before, if you don't hustle, if you don't roll with the punches, I mean, I hired a 35-person team. The number one skill I looked for was someone that could roll with the punches, because I couldn't tell them what tomorrow would look like, but I could tell them that something was going to change, and if they couldn't roll with that, if they couldn't become better because of that, then they're not going to survive. And I think that's the world we're living in today. So don't give me a participation medal. Don't pat me on the back every day. But when I do hit my home run, you better be there to high five me, because I'm gonna be the one pointing at the scoreboard afterwards. I think that's kind of a different mentality for me.
So Brian is now Barry Bonds. I'm gonna call you Barry Bonds because
I got four of his jerseys in my closet.
And they're all Pirates jerseys. They're Pirates Bonds jerseys.
Career steroids right here, guys.
Brian is the career steroid man. So I want
to. I don't believe saying someone did something if they haven't been proven so in the rule of court.
So if you want to go into the cream and the clear, is that what you want? I mean, I'm a Giants fan too. I love watching Barry Bonds, but come on.
Barry Bonds apologist, guys.
So Brian, you made a comment there, Brian.
Yep.
You made a comment and you said something about where you'll move on to the next job. You'll move on right away, right? We had an article written on Millennial CEO this week by Bree Kelly about kind of balancing that work lifestyle, and how millennials are always looking for the next opportunity. We're always in there for the next opportunity. And this kind of gets into my next question too, but do we really have the fear of missing out? Are we missing out on the next opportunity? Are we always looking for the next opportunity because we're afraid of missing it? So, you know, we have
let me caveat that for you. You know I'm just going to caveat the question. I'm not going to.
Go ahead.
I think think about it this way. If you were living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I grew up, and there was no social media, and you worked...
#Go Steelers.
Yeah, you worked your union job, right? And you went into work. Did you know what other cultures were like? Did you know what other businesses were doing? Did you know what other cities were like? No, it was a different... I mean, think about that perspective. So the fact that now your culture isn't something that you had to go find out, that you met somebody's cousin that worked at a better company than you. I can go online. I can meet a million people, in 1 year, thanks to social, and learn about other people's culture. So I'd love to hear people's conversation here, because to me, I think it's less about the fact that we want to jump ship more. It's the fact now that we have more information at our disposal than any previous generation ever had.
Okay, let's throw that out there to everybody. Chris.
Well, I don't think it's that we want to go jump ship. I think it's the fact that there's more opportunities for us, and more people are noticing us. I mean, the fact is, obviously the group that we got here are all people who are on social media and active, and so we're certainly visible. But when it comes down to it, the reality is, I go out there. My boss knows this. I have talked to about 3-4 recruiters in the past year. My boss is aware of at least 2 of those recruiters because they came up in the right conversation. But I'm still at that job. The fact is, opportunities come because we're out there, we're doing things. Albert was talking about side jobs earlier and doing those sort of things. Well, we have the opportunity to do these things that we're really passionate about, So
yeah, I have an entire network of recruiters here at my disposal in my jobs group. If I really wanted to change jobs, I could reach out to at least 20 different ones, see where it goes. But sorry, go on.
No, but that's exactly it. So there's opportunity for us. And I would be stupid, as far as I'm concerned, to not listen to some recruiter from a LinkedIn or a Google or a Forrester Research, or even if it's like a corporate McDonald's or all these other places. Like, who am I to not listen to those people?
And Chris, if you want to work at Google, get in touch with me after this chat. I can help you out.
CEO Talk is dropping career opportunities. You want to be on the show.
No, but I know at least 3 or 4 different recruiters who recruit for Google. So.
But see, this is a perfect freaking example here, because I'm keeping this PC. But the fact is, here's a conversation that's happening. It's happening live for people to see, and it's showing the power of networking, and that's what we're doing. I think people have so much networking, and people take this the wrong way. I'll just cite this example from work. I run a group at work that's called Social Media Ambassadors, and it's basically community managers at my job. So at NYU, I'm not hiding that. I work at NYU. So in my role, I get to organize and work with these people, keep them educated, etc., keep them in the loop, because a lot of them, it's like 25% of their job, to be quite honest. But because of all the networking I do with amazing people like all of you, I'm able to bring people in to talk to them. I brought in Google, I brought in LinkedIn, I brought in Twitter, I brought in Instagram, I brought in Facebook. The point is I did this because of my side work. So my side work benefits, and this goes back to an earlier thing, but the point is opportunities there. We're going to talk to these people. It doesn't mean they're offering us jobs half the time, but we're also playing the short game and the long game, because in the long game we build these relationships, and then they come to us, and yeah, we're going to leave a job after 2 to 3 years. If every 2 to 3 years there's a fantastic opportunity at our fingertips, why wouldn't we? Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I think I noticed that when I'm experiencing FOMO, that I probably have spent too much time on Facebook for the day. Because I think that when you slow down and you feel more grateful and you realize that somebody else's journey is not your journey, then you realize that maybe FOMO is not really fear of missing out as much as it's just you haven't really reflected on where you are in life, right? Because I'm a big believer in the fact that you are where you're supposed to be right now, and that, yes, you still have to hustle for whatever you're going for in the future. But, I mean, sometimes the grass is greener on the other side because it's fertilized with, you know what. So it's important, I think, to balance out your FOMO feeling with something more of, I think, being mindful of where you are, what you are, and how amazing your life currently is. So that's my 4 cents.
Allie, if so along the lines of the FOMO, thank you for reeling that back, Albert. Is FOMO self-fabricated by us millennials, or is it truly something that is legitimate? Is it a legitimate issue? Going back to Brian's point about having so many opportunities now at our fingertips. So is it something that we create because we have the technology, or is it actually an issue?
Can anyone answer this?
Sure, anyone can answer it. Absolutely.
Okay, I have a really strong opinion on this, and I'm really excited to share it with you because I think we disagree on it, Vincenzo.
That's fine. It's okay to disagree. That's why the show is here.
I know, I love disagreeing with people in live panels. Just kidding. But I think that FOMO is completely self-fabricated, and I'm not going to say that I don't experience it, but I was a little sad for you when I read your blog post about disconnecting and, like, all that anxiety that you got, and, like, that really sucks. Like, I'm really sad that that happened to you. Like, I feel
it's
like
true.
And, like, that's so crappy because, like, for me, like, I'm, like, very connected. Like, I'm not nearly as connected as you guys, and, like, I thought I was, like, really connected, but, like, I'm really not. And, like, I think that recently, like, I've experienced severe burnout. I've experienced, like, the FOMO. I get it. I feel it. And I think the notion of it is very real, but I think that the way we use it, or the way people sometimes use it, is, like, so closely related with, like, social media that I think that's, like, really sad for humanity. Like, not, like, I'm not, like, trying to offend anyone that, like, has that feeling, but, like, I'm just sad because, like, I've experienced the burnout that comes with, like, being too connected. Like, in my last job, like, my name was in the Twitter bio of the company I worked for, and, like, that's a really great tactic, and I'm, like, all about doing that. But at the same time, like, you have people tweeting at you at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and, like, for me, I think, like, I know, like, there's a lot of conversation about work-life balance, and, like, there is no work-life balance. It's just, like, live your life and have work be a part of it. But, like realistically, we have work and we have our personal life, and, like, some people intertwine. There's a lot. I happen to intertwine my work life and my personal life a lot, and I think that's why I've experienced this burnout. But also, like, this idea that, like, we physically, like, are having anxiety when, like, we can't look at our phone for a couple of hours is, like, really sad to me. And, like, I feel like there has to be, like, some way to change that because there's so much going on. Like, for example, I'm going camping for the next 4 days, and like I'm gonna be completely off the grid, and I could not be more excited. And like I wish more people felt this way. Like I wish people would get into that. And like I think, you know, this is obviously like a very small cross section of like very active social media people, and like I don't know, I feel very strongly about this because I burnout is real,
So the
and
whole
it's more real
so
and
really-
it's worse than
The
FOMO.
whole digital
you're-
disconnect thing.
I wanted to drop the Newman, watch it. So the digital disconnect project that we did on Millennial CEO. For those of you that are watching that don't know what Allie's talking about,
Oh, sorry.
no, that's okay. It's quite all right. There was a digital disconnect piece that actually there was a digital disconnect series that Dan Newman issued, kind of a challenge, and it was disconnect from your social, disconnect from your technology for 4 hours. And some of us took it to 24 hours. Some of us couldn't do it at all. And we wrote about it. So if you check out millennialceo.com, look up the digital disconnect pieces. They are there. You get a little more context on what was going on here. There's not enough time in the show to go and read all of them, obviously. But my piece, in short, was basically that I could not disconnect. And there was a little bit of an extenuating circumstance around that as to why I couldn't disconnect for that time. But I wrote the article based on that segment of time. But Allie, yes, thank you for throwing that at me. That was good. Daniel, what were you going to say?
I wasn't throwing it at you. I wasn't attacking anyone. I genuinely, and I don't want it to turn into that. Like I genuinely feel this because I've experienced it, and it's really important.
I couldn't feel more opposite of Allie, but Allie and I are good friends. We've talked, but I couldn't feel more opposite because and I talk about this all the time. But for me, it's not even about the fact that and this goes back to we were talking about if I'm on Facebook too much. I think Albert said it. If you're on Facebook too much, you have a fear of missing out. But I think it's much more than that. For me, how do I know what I'm doing right now is the best if I'm not willing to look and understand what other people are doing? And not only that, but I'm not saying I'm jealous or I want to have to be over there and change every aspect. But for me, fear of missing out means I want to be connected and have the best opportunity for me to make the best decisions. And that oftentimes for me means being connected 24/7. I tweet when I sleep, right? And I'm perfectly happy admitting that. But that's also I don't preach.
How is that even possible?
Trust me,
it's automation, it's tools, it's using
Buffer.
Oh, okay.
I tweet when I sleep too. I tweet on the weekends. I do that whole thing.
Yeah. I thought you meant you literally tweet in your sleep. Okay, I get it now.
So the bottom line,
With Brian Fanzo, he might very well be tweeting in his sleep.
Well, that's why I thought that, because I wouldn't put it past him, and I was wondering how he does it.
Hang on.
Yeah. You're there.
Am I talking?
I really want to know what
to
Daniel has to
Grandpa
say.
is going to talk now. Let me get out my spectacles and I'll try to talk to you guys.
I do want to add something to what Brian Fanzo said here with regards to being constantly connected. I don't know. I mean, it's just like I feel like it's I guess that part is important. I'm just like wondering. It's like the reason why I transitioned out of social media and more into marketing communications, product marketing, was because I didn't want to be so. I mean, and maybe I'm going to get myself killed in the next 5 minutes for what I'm going to say, but like I felt like I personally was getting very obsessed with my phone and social and all that stuff. Still kind of am to some degree, and in the process probably made and irritated a lot of friends. And so that's why I guess I'm not as I think gung-ho about being connected 24/7. I mean, it's nice.
Yeah, but Albert,
goodness.
Albert, to your point right there, what you said you felt like you were being, attached to your phone and you were too. Why is that a bad thing? I'm challenging that. I'm challenging that notion. That's my whole point. Is that my whole point?
Because I think our generation.
No, it's not even a generation thing. I mean, I wanna engage, and I mean, this is when I'm at dinner with people that are in my focus, and we're both on our phones. I don't look at it as us losing out in conversation. We're also participating in a broader conversation and having a different experience. And I'm not saying that the two of our experiences have to be the same, but when I'm on my phone or when I'm doing certain things, now granted, like when I'm with my daughter, and if I have to pull up my phone every 5 minutes when I'm, I can see there being a little bit of a difference there. But for me,
I think it's that kind of
I challenge the
situation.
notion of the experience because for me, I can, by leveraging the technology and the social that I have at my disposal, I'm able to create broader experiences, have more experiences with more people, and actually, I mean, if you can be yourself online and offline, to disagree with Ali's point is, I don't have to be work and personal life because I'm the same online, offline, work, and home. And I think that's just a different way of looking at it. And I think the problem is we can't say one is right and one is wrong. And I think that's the difference
absolutely
in
not.
the generation conversation.
Can I add, actually, my wife
I would
just...
tell you, Brian, that
Hold
if
on.
you and I were having a beer together, hell yeah, I would be on Twitter. I would selfie it up with you. But
I have to add this.
like if it was my kid, then maybe I would put my phone away.
Well, like,
Or if
here's
it
the
was
thing,
like date
okay?
night with my significant other, it would be something of the same sort. I think.
This is such a hot topic. I got to add this. My wife actually tweeted to Ali. I just saw it. That sometimes I harp on Chris for not disconnecting. So I want to say, because I know we're going to actually have to move on here, but the really interesting, and I feel passionate about this, is I feel like I fall somewhere in the middle now because there was such a great value in just being able to put the phone away. And I actually now on my phone turned off all the notifications. Now I go and check, and I'm very clear and precise about that. But I do still go ahead, and I do this every day. I go through and see the people who connect with me and go through and try to find the people who really offer me value and I try to go back and say thank you to everybody. And that's still crucial to it, but I don't need to do it right in that moment. So I've kind of moved. I'm still more towards the Brian side here, but I've moved a little bit towards the middle. So Mary Alice, I know you're watching. I've gotten better, and you know it. So I'm just saying.
Mary Alice.
I think, Chris, I'm in your camp as well in regards to things like this as well. I mean, I check my Facebook first thing. I get on Twitter when I can. And, I understand it's important to communicate, but I think, I think there's no wrong answer here. I mean, I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. If it works for you, it works for you, right? And, who am I to say that you're being awake 24/7 on your social media is a bad thing if, as long as it makes you happy.
I'm not saying,
which is a very millennial thing.
I think, Brian, we actually disagree a little bit less than you might have made it sound. I'm all about, being the same, like you said, I'm the same person at work, online, in real life, and so am I. But I know we've talked about this before, I value in-person, physical relationships not more than social relationships, but as a human, I just feel like human needs include, for me, being surrounded by people and being where you are, be here now, be where you are. And I think that sometimes it's very hard to be where you are when you're disconnected. For example, I've been visiting my best friend from college, who I haven't seen for 3 years, is visiting me in San Francisco right now, and I have not touched my phone once. I know saying that my phone was beeping this whole time, which I do not have my phone in this room. But putting my phone away is so freeing to me, and it's a personal preference. I'm not judging you and whatever, but I feel that the feelings that I feel when I do disconnect are so great that I just wanted to share that, and now I really, really, really want to hear what Daniel has to say because it's killing me.
I want to move to question 3. I have no interest in answering this question. Our moderator completely shafted me.
I want to hear. I need to hear what. I want to hear Daniel.
No, we have a new hashtag for MCEO. It's called Where Did Grandpa Dan Go? We do the hashtag each time, and we just use that hashtag because we don't know where he went. He's I swear he was talking, but at one point
probably the bathroom.
Is there a video blanking feature? Was I blanking? I really. Dude, am I too old? The fact that I know that term because
Daniel,
that's no, dude. Move to the next question. We got just move on.
All right, we're changing speed then. We're changing speed a little bit. We're gonna get off the seriousness of that, because this is something that a lot of us are curious about, and I think we've had this discussion, Chris, offline. But home ownership or renting. My parents worked 9-to-5 jobs. My father has his own business, saved money, started a family, owned a home. All before the age of 27. Here I am at the cusp of 30, and I do own my condo, but not nearly to the success of my parents. What are your thoughts? Renting, buying, agree, disagree with anything that maybe your parents did? Why? What do you guys think?
Okay. Well, I live in California, so...
I was going to say, I live in San Francisco, so I literally don't have a choice.
Well, I live in New Jersey, so it's kind of similar, but...
I look at the Midwest, and I see these 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom houses that go for, like, you know, $60,000. And my first response is, okay, can I buy in bulk? You know, because can I get, like, 5? Because, like, you know...
Yeah, but they made like $14,000 salaries too. So
okay,
you can't.
Well, yeah, rent
I know that appreciation has been
income.
Appreciation has not been consistent with income growth, but I think what Fan said does make a point. It is somewhat of an excuse. I bought my first house when I was 21. It was something that mattered to me, and I've bought 3 or 4 houses since. And I'm just saying, like, I'm a millennial. I'm an old-ass millennial. I'm grandpa millennial, but I'm still a millennial. And, you know, that was just important to me. Family, owning a home, it was all things that mattered to me. And I think if you want to live in California, you want to own a home, people figure out a way to do it. Don't get me wrong. It's harder. There's more challenges to it. You have to maybe make sacrifices. You maybe can't travel so much. But the things we want to do, right, it's about priority.
Yeah, and so here's, I mean, that's a great, I mean, and to put on that spot, I mean, like Daniel, you said that's something that you sought out to do, right? I was told, I grew up Catholic. I was told to believe, or I was led to believe, that I need to get married in a church. I need to own my own house. Well, you know what? I did both of those before I was 25 years old. You know what? If I had to go back and do it again, I would have got married on the beach like I wanted to do it. I sold my house a year ago. I am renting proudly now because you know what? I went from house poor and not having fun to renting something and living for the moment and not being house poor. And you know what? One day when I want to own that asset, I can focus on that. For me, I like Daniel's point on priorities. But it also comes to something is you need to look at what success and happiness looks like for you. And happiness for us today, and I believe this is maybe the millennial mindset conversation, is to me the concept of happiness is not what my parents told me because life has changed, but it's also not what my friends tell me. It's what I'm trying to figure out what happiness is like tomorrow. I definitely am not worried about my, and this might be a guilty problem for me, but I'm not worried about my retirement near as much as what I probably should be, but because that's what someone told me I should worry about. For me, I'm worried about making tomorrow better for my kids, and I guess that's kind of how I look at the bigger picture. Because you know what, I sold my house. I'm in a rental now, and I could have been happier with that decision. I have no plans of going back to that until maybe at one point where I feel like the home ownership is where I'm going to value the benefits and the priorities in my life. Because I tell you what, it's a hell of a lot easier whenever I don't have that burden over on my shoulders and on my life for my priorities.
Well, I gotta come in and say this here. I did things backwards. We bought our house at 25 years old. We lived in Scranton, sold it because of a lot of reasons. We wanted to get the hell out of Scranton. So we ended up leaving Scranton and going to New Jersey, and we have to rent. Now, I'll tell you, I'm actually wanting to own again, but I also have the worst luck in renting ever. So we have had like 3 or 4 bad rentals in a row. So we're itching for the fact that we have control again. But the flexibility of renting is what I think is a really amazing aspect of renting. The idea that if some fantastic opportunity came down the line in San Francisco or Chicago or Austin, Texas, or wherever it may be, that in theory I could pick up and go and not have to worry about selling a house. So there's pros and cons to it. Personally, I want to own again. I'm excited to eventually own again. And I, like Brian, I don't have as big of a family. I've only got one little guy. But when it comes down to it, I want to be able to priority-wise give them the best life. So it all depends what's going to allow you to do that, and if that's renting or if that's owning. Honestly, that's going to be my priority is my son. So the home ownership for us would help that, in my opinion, because there'd be stability. But I'm different than Brian in this case, but I think we're agreeing on a few things here too.
Well, you brought up a good point about flexibility, and for me personally, now that I own a condo, if I had an opportunity pop up in San Francisco, I can't jump on it immediately. I mean, some will say that you could, but is flexibility really the biggest reason why a lot of millennials rent now? Or is that just, I mean, Daniel can probably comment to more of the economy where rent, it's more of a renter's economy, but is that a millennial thing and millennials becoming more ingrained in the workforce, or is that just something that's happening?
I'll comment briefly because you asked me, and the only reason, and then I'll pass it back to you fans. But no, hey, you know what? I got to talk fast. I got to tweet fast and talk fast, or I won't even get a chance to talk on this entire thing.
Hey, 8 months in, I'm gonna have you talking fast, tweeting fast.
I'm getting faster. I'm getting faster. But the bottom line is, you know what, dude? It really does depend on what matters. People figure out how to get things done when it's something that matters to them. You get that great offer in San Francisco, trust me, you'll figure out how to get out of your condo and sell it. You know, it really does depend. I would say one thing. No matter what generation you are in, and I do agree with Brian, I've put my retirement off a little bit. I've invested in businesses, and I've invested in real estate, which came back to crush me later on, and I'm going to do it again. I've failed so many times and started over so many times, and the reason I do it is because I know I can do it again, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart. But the bottom line is this. You have different credit markets today. It's harder to get loans. It's hard to get money. It's hard to find jobs. And if you're not staying at your jobs a long time, banks don't want to give you money. You're waiting longer to get married. There's all kinds of demographic reasons why people aren't becoming homeowners at such a young age. But the other thing I will say, though, is the comment about retirement is it is something you need to think about is not so much retirement, but building a little bit of wealth to give you the freedom to live your best life. And that is the one thing is when you are under the constant, guise of your debt and controlling your life and stuff and always having money be on the front of your mind, then you're not really living your best life. So the one thing I will say is your home is probably the best piggy bank on the planet, is if you can buy a home on a traditional mortgage and pay that damn loan down, is that if you do nothing else to save and you work for the next 30 years of your life, chances are you'll have a nice $500,000, million, whatever dollar retirement because you bought a house, paid it off, and can turn it into cash. Drops mic.
So, yeah, you did drop the mic.
So I look at it. You said flexibility. I look at the term flexibility a little bit different. And I mean, I agree with Daniel saying on the sense of like the investment the perspective of it. But here's the thing: I want to seize the moment, have the opportunity to seize the moment. And I mean, I quickly learned. I mean, I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until I was 30 years old, and it transformed my life. It was the best thing that probably could have happened to me because it kind of allowed me to shift my focus. It also allowed me to embrace, I would say, imperfections like the fact I talk fast, I stutter, I'm all over the place. Things now that I've embraced and owned and put on the back of a freaking hat because it allowed me to like be who I am. But on that same notion is the reason I love the ability to rent and love the ability is because you know what? If things change, if I fail, because I am not afraid to fail at all, because I know that I will never settle for it. But I want the ability to be like, hey, if I got my dream job offer to go to Seattle, I'm going to Seattle next month. You know, and you know what? If I'm only going to be there for a year, I'm okay with that. And I think that's just I'm for sure not saying that homeownership is not a great investment, but for me, homeownership requires a stability process, and I'm very lucky to be on the same train of thought for 1 minute, let alone the same house for 5 years. Like, you know, and that's being brutally honest.
It's only Brian and I's ADD that keeps us together.
I was gonna say, well, you guys on the surface, you look calm and ready to drop knowledge bombs. So
on the surface, that is true.
Hey, listen, we do a little something on the show. Well, we did it last week. We're gonna do it again. We're going to do it next week and every other week after that. It's our little hashtag life hack. So, same thing, same question. Share a daily secret that gets you into the right mindset for success. Chris. Actually, Albert. Let's go to Albert.
Wow. I think it's waking up and reminding myself of my purpose and reminding myself and being aware and awake to how I'm feeling at any given moment. And, checking in with myself to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, that anything that I might be overreacting to is probably not an overreaction, things like that. So checking in with myself is my big daily secret, which really isn't. It shouldn't really be a secret to anybody.
It's your daily secret. Now it's everybody's.
Yeah. It's good.
Allie?
Happy to give it away.
Thank you, Albert.
I like that one a lot.
I don't know if you guys can see my life hack, but 2 of my life hacks are right here. So this is Chloe and Kinsley are who are going to bed.
Cuteness factor. Brian Fanzo wins the internet again.
Take a picture of that and tweet it, dude. No, seriously, we're trending, people. Let's get it out there.
Allie's life hack, secret to success, or getting into the right mindset for success. Allie.
I have 2. Can I share 2?
You can share them both.
I'll be quick.
You can
My
share
first
them.
one, my first one is eliminate the snooze button from your life. And I'll tell you why. I am the biggest overuser of the snooze button, and I am a runner, so run before work, and I always hit the snooze button, and every time I hit it, even if it's 5 minutes, I somehow fall back into a deeper sleep and then never wake up. But if I just suck it up and get up on the first alarm, I feel amazing, and I know it's really hard. And I know, like, everyone jokes, like, oh, I set, like, 19 alarms in order to wake up in the morning, and I do too. But, like, just try it for one day, and then try it for 2 days, and then try it for a third day. And if you do it for 21 days,
Habit.
studies show it will become a habit.
I like that one. I like that one. That's probably my favorite one so far in the short run of the show.
My second one is make a TweetDeck column. My second one is make a TweetDeck column with a search for dogs and check it sometimes.
Dog. Cute puppy dogs.
People tweet like, oh, look at my dog, or like, I love my dog. And the column moves very fast because, you know, everyone tweets about dogs. But if you look at it, sometimes there's cute dogs.
I have a cute dog. Should I bring my cute dog onto the show?
No. I'm kidding.
Your dog fits in your purse, Vincenzo.
My first dog, right.
Great
Christopher.
for the spirit.
Oh. Allie's breaking in and out. Chris, if you can hear me, go ahead.
Yeah. So I started the show with a shout out to my wife, and I have to kind of end with one because one of the things I learned very early on is the idea of the career roadmap. The career roadmap is an extremely flexible thing because the road can twist and turn, and you can kind of take a different direction. But the idea of taking a look at my career roadmap, and I look at this daily, and where, you know, not trying to say I'm going to be here in 5 years necessarily, but hey, how am I doing in working towards my goal or to my purpose? So this goes much back to what Albert talked about, and I think about actually the fact that I don't know if anyone's ever road tripped out from this is specifically from the East Coast, but from East Coast out to North Dakota to see Mount Rushmore. But along the way, there's this like garbage place that you stop, and literally the advertisement on the sign says free water. It's called Wall Drug. And honestly, it's like avoiding the places that are a waste of space. I actually found it here. It had me think of it. You can kind of see it. This is a shot glass that says Wall Drug. This is all I got from that place. It was the most worthless trip of my life. But that particular trip was. But the thing is, those kind of moments, those why we shouldn't have done that, they're still valuable. They're still very valuable to your trip, and you learn from them. So you can take that, look at your roadmap, and say, okay, this was a mistake. How do I learn from that? And by looking at roadmap daily, you will drive yourself to greater success, in my opinion. So that's kind of my thing. That's more of a weekly, probably than a daily, but still, I think it will qualify in this case.
I think Brian Fanzo has an actual life hack for us this week. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I do, and it's actually one that I kind of embrace. But I say, when you're getting dressed in the morning, put something on that you want to wear, not something you want someone else that you think someone else wants you to wear. And even if it's just a matter of having your breakfast in it and then putting your monkey suit on to go do your day, the idea is, I think, you own who you are and you start your day with that in mind, putting on the clothes that you want to put on in the morning. It kind of gives you that mindset to kind of control your own destiny. So it's something that I've embraced for the longest time. I used to, when I worked for the Department of Defense, I'm okay wearing a suit and I owned it, but I tell you what, I had a T-shirt on underneath that was one I wanted to wear for the day, and I ate breakfast in it, and then I put my monkey suit on it and did the job.
Brian had a Superman T-shirt on every day, didn't you, Brian? Pretty much, except it was Hootsuite or Buffer or something. No. But I'll give mine real quick, and it's actually something I'm learning a little bit later than I wish I had, but I see a ton of value in it. Travel the world, see the world, experience the world while you're young enough to enjoy it. And this last year, we've been blessed with opportunities. Fans and I went to Barcelona. We've been all over the United States. I'm heading to Norway. We may be going to China.
Sweet.
Yeah, but what I really think is, and if you have family, I'm really starting to come around the corner. Bring them with you. Do it when they're young. Do it when you're mobile. Everyone's like, oh, I want to get old. I want to retire. I want to see the world. But even if you can't do those global places, just take a trip. See something you want to see before. Because I definitely do find that experiences and culture and stuff like that it really does make a big difference. And as much as I fought that for my first 10 years of my career, while I thought I was trying to become a rock star CEO, I've realized it is those little moments. And like that moment when Brian was hugging his kid, it's those little moments where you're sitting there seeing something with your daughter or your wife or your spouse, and that all adds up, and it makes all this other shit we do really worth it. And what we do is really cool shit, but it's still, compared to that, it's just shit.
Those are such great
sponsors. Last 3 swears.
You might have, but it's okay. It's I guess I have to deal with it every week, don't I? With no sponsors and trying to carry it at this point. Thanks for ruining it for me, Daniel.
Yeah.
Guys, it was an amazing chat this week. I do want to thank everybody, Albert, Chris. We lost Allie. I think she had a poor connection down there in the basement. Thanks again for joining me, Daniel, and Brian, and again for the opportunity to have this amazing discussion, Daniel, and the MCEO talk from the Millennial CEO team. I am the host, Vincenzo Landino, every week. Next week, again, what is that? What are you showing me?
Well, I was saying cheers to you, sir. I have a almost done glass of Guinness, and I say cheers to you.
And I was saying, tell your kids to work at Starbucks.
I have nothing.
College for free.
I have nothing to cheers you with because I don't have anything but cheers. Fist bumps, everyone. You have body spray. Okay.
It's hard to get humanity. It's just sitting here, so
I want to leave the show with this one little nugget of knowledge. Today, Ted Rubin has asked us to tweet our tweets with. I should have led the show with this, but hashtag RIP Rip Bernice for his mom that passed away on Monday. Prayers with the family, the Rubin family. So if you guys can end your tweets with that for the rest of the night, that would be fantastic. Catch us again next week, same time, same place. Again, Vincenzo Landino, at Vincenzo Landino on the Twitters. This is MCEO Talk. I will catch you later.